Over 500 years ago, the world was a very different place. There was no electricity, no engines, and no flying machines. People lived by old traditions and feared what they didn't understand. When thunder echoed across the sky, they thought it was the anger of God. When sickness came, they prayed and burned herbs to chase away evil spirits. Medicine was based on superstition, travel was dangerous, and most people never left the village where they were born. But one man dared to see beyond that world, a man who imagined what did not yet exist. His name was Leonardo da Vinci, and he would change the way humanity thought forever. A curious child, Leonardo was born on the 15th of April, 1452, near the village of Vinci in Italy. His father, Ser Piero, was a respected notary, and his mother, Caterina, was a peasant woman. They were never married, so Leonardo was born outside of wedlock and could not inherit his father's status. He went to a small school, learning to read and write, but never studied Latin or Greek, the languages of scholars. That didn't matter, because nature became his teacher. The fields and hills of Tuscany were his classroom. He studied birds, rocks, water, and wind, trying to understand how the world worked. While other children played games, Leonardo sketched feathers, insects, and shells. He wanted to know why things looked and moved the way they did. From an early age, his curiosity had no limits. The apprentice, Leonardo's father, soon noticed his son's remarkable drawings and showed them to the great Florentine artist Andrea del Verrocchio. Impressed, Verrocchio took Leonardo as an apprentice in his workshop, a place filled with painters, sculptors, and engineers. There, Leonardo learned everything: how to mix paints, sculpt clay, design machines, and study anatomy. Verrocchio believed a true artist must understand the world completely, and Leonardo absorbed every lesson like a sponge. One day, Verrocchio allowed him to paint an angel in his masterpiece, The Baptism of Christ. When the painting was finished, Leonardo's angel was so lifelike that legend says Verrocchio put down his brush, realizing his student had surpassed him. The thinker and inventor. As Leonardo grew older, his curiosity only deepened. He filled notebooks with thousands of sketches of people, birds, plants, and inventions that had never been built. He asked endless questions. Why do birds fly while humans cannot? Why does water move in spirals? How does light shape what we see? He imagined machines far ahead of his time: flying devices, tanks, submarines, and bridges that could fold. He even designed a robot knight that could move on its own. Most of his ideas could not be built with the tools of his century, but centuries later, many would become real. His notes were written backward, from right to left, so they could only be read in a mirror. Some say he did this to protect his secrets. Others think it was simply easier for him as a left-handed writer. Either way, it reflected how unique his mind truly was. The scientist of life. Leonardo wasn't just an artist, he was one of the first great scientists. He studied the movement of water, the flow of air, and the structure of plants. He dissected animals, and even human bodies, to understand how muscles, bones, and organs worked. At a time when such studies were considered controversial, he saw them as a sacred search for truth. His drawings of the human body were so detailed and accurate that modern doctors still study them today. For Leonardo, art and science were never separate, they were one and the same. He believed an artist should think like a scientist, and a scientist should see like an artist. The great works. By the late 1400s, Leonardo had become one of the most admired men in Italy. He worked for powerful patrons across Florence, Milan, and Rome, including Duke Ludovico Sforza of Milan. It was in Milan that he painted one of his greatest masterpieces, The Last Supper. On the wall of a monastery dining hall, Leonardo captured the dramatic moment when Jesus said, "One of you will betray me." Each disciple shows a different emotion: shock, fear, disbelief. Never before had a painting expressed such raw human feeling. Unfortunately, the experimental technique Leonardo used caused the colors to fade with time. Still, The Last Supper remains one of the most studied and beloved works in the world. Years later, he began another masterpiece, the Mona Lisa. It was meant as a simple portrait of a merchant's wife, but Leonardo turned it into something eternal. He painted her smile over years of observation, layering thin glazes of color until her face seemed to glow from within. That mysterious smile continues to fascinate the world to this day. Leonardo carried the painting with him everywhere, never considering it finished. The final years. In his later years, Leonardo's fame spread across Europe. Tired of politics in Italy, he accepted an invitation from King Francis I of France, who admired him deeply. The king gave him a home near his palace at Clos-Lucé and complete freedom to work on whatever he wished. Even in his 60s, Leonardo's imagination never stopped. He sketched designs for new cities, machines, and canals, ideas so advanced they would take centuries to realize. On the 2nd of May, 1519, in his quiet home at Clos-Lucé, Leonardo da Vinci passed away at the age of 67. He left behind more than 7,000 pages of notebooks filled with inventions, discoveries, and dreams. Centuries later, many of his visions became real: airplanes, submarines, and robots, all imagined long before they existed. A legacy beyond time. Today, Leonardo's genius still shapes our world. The Mona Lisa rests safely in the Louvre Museum in Paris, seen by millions every year. The Last Supper continues to inspire artists and historians in Milan. His notebooks are studied by scientists, inventors, and dreamers everywhere. Leonardo da Vinci proved that curiosity is the seed of genius. He showed that art and science together can unlock the greatest mysteries of life. And he reminded us that imagination, the courage to dream beyond what is known, is what truly moves humanity forward. This is the legacy of Leonardo da Vinci, the artist, the inventor, the scientist, and the man who taught the world to imagine.